Hi everybody, Corrie Thorne, the spiritual healer, coming in to do my weekly vlog. This is for the last full week of November. I'm sure, yes, the last full week of November. So we're going to extend this all the way into December the 1st. So which means we are going to go into a little bit of the full moon energy. We have some serious eclipse energy coming in as well for this in this vlog message that I'm channeling through. We also have some sense of returning to a sense of self, like self-awareness, self-prophecy of which direction do you put that sense of prophecy, of self-prophecy? Is it towards waiting for the negative or waiting for the positive? And I feel as if there's a big shift and change. If you're like me and you're very much affected by the energies, this weekend was horrendous. Saturday was horrible. I've been doing absolutely great. And then Saturday, it was like the weight, the world fell on my shoulders. And I'm just like, I don't know how much more I can take of this energy. And I can tell you it is alive, it's real, it's active. We're not going to pretend as I'm being told from the divine, we're not going to pretend as if this real world problems are not happening. They are happening and they are real. But what is in your control and how can you control it is an absolute must right now. That we truly need to look at ourselves, look at our lives, and look at the places where what is in your control, and holding on to that sense of faith. And I know it's hard to hold faith in a world of where there's a lot of corruption, there is a lot of fraudulent, there's a lot of fake, there's a lot of entitlement, sense of it's all about me and my truth is the only truth that's real. And I can tell you that is not true. And so there's like a lot of energy that's trying to be very persuasive energy. There's a lot of push energy and a lot of sense of like where I'm going back to the false light that I speak of. When I speak of false light, I speak of those who put themselves up on a pedestal and preach their truth, and by doing that, they judge and belittle and downgrade other human beings. And in that sense of doing that, no matter what human being that we are belittling and putting down and trying to make feel less than, then that's a sense of false light. Because true light, true place of unconditional love would not pick and choose who's going to be worthy to live in the new world, who's going to be worthy to live within the company of this paradigm of new energy that's coming, is that everybody is. And it's all based on our choice to choose whether or not, we coexist in a beautiful world together, or that we keep ostracizing and putting ourselves like up and above everybody else. Is like, well, if you had this thought or if you had that thought, then you're not worthy to be here. Then it's like, but that's a joy of freedom. And that's a big part of this energy that's coming in, that shows me in this eclipse, is that with love, there's freedom. And with love, it's trusting. And with love, it's that sense of that with love, we trust that given the opportunity of free will and a free will choice, that we tend to come about a more peaceful way of making change, and not to be such an aggressive energy. So I am pulling the sacred rebels, and what I'm being told is that true sacred rebels operate from a place of love, true sense of being in support of a awakened conscious awareness. And it's like, so this is really coming up for me, and I really need to bring this up, is the fact that this whole sense of awakened, but who gets to decide who's so-called awakened, and who gets to, how awakened are you, how awakened are you to this world or to this? In other words, that terminology has been turned to how easily are you willing to give up all of your beliefs and values and what you believe in and follow my way? And that's human ego. And we have a lot of that happening. It's like, as long as you go my way, as long as you agree my way, then you are awakened enough to be in my world, awakened enough to be where I am. And that's not always the truth. The truth is that sense of being awakened means that we have an open mind. And in that openness, we can find our voice. We can have a voice, but we can also come from a place of integrity. And to be able to walk in the light of righteousness, or to truly do what is right, what is morally right, instead of what is self-fulfilling ego right, what it is that truly gets me to be where I want to be. And if we can openly sit down and listen to each other and learn from each other and evolve together and grow together, that's how all healthy relationships evolve, and that's how all healthy relationships grows. We don't have to all have the same view to live in the same world, and we can have healthy boundaries around different people and different relationships, and know that we don't have to belittle, shame, put collars on people and put tags on people and tag them to be a certain kind. And we don't have to start shutting down and censoring out because we don't like it. And that's a truth that is coming up from everywhere. And what the rebels are telling me, what these rebels from here are telling me, is the sense that being a true rebel is knowing that no matter what, you can still, from a place of healthy behavior, of not of a inner child insecurity, that everybody that looks like a man or woman who represents something of your past really truly does not have to pay the price for your past. And so there's a new reflection that reflects off of everybody, that what if that person is not of my past? What if there's something for me to learn and discover? What if there is an opportunity here? And so there's a lot of ways that opening our eyes to move beyond the anger and transmuting all the anger to a voice of love, that in this eclipse, in this shift, in this change, we truly can become a voice of reason, a voice of truth, a voice of freedom, of setting ourselves free of the anger that has consumed and is consuming. And then that leads into avoidance. And we have a lot of people that are avoiding in the human race right now, avoiding life and hiding behind things. So hiding behind a screen, hiding behind a camera, hiding behind a video game, hiding behind a lot of things that truly are not allowing us to be able to experience the present moment. A lot of forward projection, a lot of this is what could happen, this is what's going to happen, but it has not happened. And so if it hasn't happened, then that means it doesn't exist yet. So unless it exists, and unless we have it right in our hands and it's in the present moment, then it's a non-existent story that we are creating to align to the fear story that we're trying to live in. And it's the same thing with the more than existing journey. We are here to more than just exist. And if we're going to live in fear of what could be, we are crippling ourselves and knocking ourselves at the knees, destroying who we are as human beings out of a fear story of the possibility that I may die. Well, here's the truth. I am going to die. We are all going to die. And every other day of our lives, until we get a seed planted in our head, we never think that, oh my God, today's the day I might die. That is our inevitable. And it's unpreventable that someday, whatever day that may be, whatever day is chosen, and you could be sitting home waiting to get something, or you could be driving down the street on your way to the most beautiful party in the world, and boom, you're gone. And so you don't know. So being aware of our environment, taking precautions is one thing, but to be fearful of your own people, to cause fear, to live in fear, the judgment that we've placed upon the world, all of this has taken us to a self-prophecy of negativity. And this is us now saying that we have to return to a self-prophecy of positivity. And if we can get there, if we can start to see, what if that's not how it's going to be? What if there's a better opportunity? What if there's another way? What if instead of having to tag everybody, there is another way around this? What if through some major grown-up communication, we can do big things? What if we can set ourselves free of control? What if we can set ourselves free of believing that the truth over the lips of one person is the only truth that there is? What if I open my ears, open my eyes, and allow myself to know that my own human eyes can lie? That what they think they're seeing may not be it. That what I'm feeling in my heart and what has been taught to me, what has been conditioned to me, what I've been led to believe, may be something beyond that. If I can just look at my own personal experiences in my own life of the past with new eyes, with fresh eyes. And from that place, maybe we can be a change. Maybe there is an opportunity, but we have to look back through our experiences through the eyes of where we originally witnessed them, through what we were doing in our own lives. So if I compare myself to being at a party and being drunk and back when I was 20 and any action and behavior that I would take in. And then I would compare everybody who represents anyone who was at that party and may have been same drunk as I was, and then treated me a certain way. And then I'm going to take that forward and say, well, I can't trust anybody because this is how, someone laid their hand on my shoulder or on my breast or something at a party when we were all drunk. So I'm going to decide that everybody who represents a similar makeup as that person is going to behave that way. But while none of us were in our true self, this transpired. And don't worry, I'm not talking rape because I know rape, and that is not what I'm speaking. I'm speaking of a story that we get ourselves caught in that then leads us to carry a story of anger that we then escalate. And when we escalate our stories, we escalate it into a self-prophecy, and we escalate it into a truth that we want to live because we want to stay angry. Who am I angry at? And most times I am angry at me. I'm angry at me for some of the things that I have done within my own life or that I have allowed. Me holding on to an anger and blaming the rest of the world instead of healing that anger, instead of moving beyond that anger, holds me back from living in my light of love. Truth. And so when I took time and spent a lot of time looking at a lot of different stories in my life, right down to the story that I write of in the More Than Existing book, that started a downward spiral of my life. That's what I had to look at. And sometimes we have to look deep. And I had to look at my contributing role, my desire, my need, my want to get what I wanted. I wanted something so bad that I was not willing to look beyond the truth that I was telling myself or that somebody else was telling me to see that there was another truth. And in that truth, I became a victim to my own circumstances that I placed myself in. A lot of things, not my fault. But forgiveness came with first forgiving myself for allowing myself to be so caught up in my desire to get what I want, to get my own self-prophecy of saying, I told you so. I knew people would treat me this way. I knew I'd be victim. I knew I'd be this way. And then to forgiving the other person. And looking at back through the eyes and thinking, they told me a lot of this. They told me what they wanted. They told me what they didn't want. I didn't want it. I thought I could fix, make it better, make them better. And that's the whole problem. And we get stuck in those stories on such a regular basis that we live it to believe it to be our truth. And there is so much more. There is so much more beyond those stories. And there's so much more of being in this present moment with who am I today? How am I reacting? How am I behaving? What kind of truth am I living in? What am I being held captive to? And what is my fear of being my true, authentic, real self? And what am I afraid of opening up to the possibility of listening to what somebody else may have to say? And what keeps me from allowing myself and others to be free from my stories of the past and my dislike, my judgment, and my hatred of other people that I have held entrapped in those stories and holding them captive to a story of the past and continually labeling them when I don't want to be labeled myself. That's a place to explore and discover. And until we can move beyond that, until we can look beyond and say, why is somebody still being held captive in my story and still being blamed for the life and the choices that I'm choosing to do today that allow me to stay in a place of low vibrating energy that keeps me following through with a sense that a part of me is living in my false light? Because the day that we set ourselves free, the day that we stop holding anybody captive, the day that we set everyone free, and we know that everyone has the possibility when giving a choice to choose, that we most likely, a good probably 80%, will do the right thing for the right reasons. Because we all have a superhero in us. We all have the ability to do the right thing. And we all have the opportunity to set everybody free by setting ourselves free of the judgment that we place. And the sacred rebel card that comes out with this is free from judgment and free to love. And the day we do this in the world, the day that we start this, is the day that we get to start a new life. Because love is the most powerful. And that means love thy neighbor, love thy enemy. You can still have a boundary, but you placing judgment creates stories and realities that may not possibly be true, that then leads you to a negative way of living our lives instead of trusting that there is a more beautiful way. Inner trust comes with trusting your higher self, to know and to learn that the way was never in my desires, but was in my passion to know love, to learn beyond the spelling, the word, the dictionary's version of love, to understand the complexity of discovering love was well beyond taking one path. That it was in the depth of the darkness, of falling back in love with myself in some of my deepest depressions, in my deepest fears, that if I could go to those levels, if I had that depth of darkness in me and where it stemmed from, so must that other person. For we are all human who have been contaminated, conditioned into a world that aligns to somebody else's reality. Today, I invite you for this week, during this whole shift, as the sun, which is masculine, heads into Sagittarius, which is fire, that we be brave, courageous warriors of love, and that we light a fire of love, compassion, kindness, of optimistic views, of staying positive, and we start to take back the one thing we are in control of, us. And we start to return our hearts to a place of love. And remember that the wisdom has been placed inside of each and every one of us. And we all have a choice to choose. Today, I choose love. And I hope that you will also make a choice to choose to live in love. Much love to you all. Have a beautiful week. And I will speak to you again next week.